And now, Death Valley Days. Howdy, folks. I'm the old ranger, and I have another interesting true story for you about the historic Death Valley country. Our story opens on the other side of the world from California, at a little French inn in the forest of Fontainebleau near Paris. There, on a summer evening in the year 1877, fate brought two people together, and nothing was ever again the same for either of them after that. I call this story The Great Amulet. This is the young man of the story, an obscure Scotsman striving to make a name for himself as a writer. The name, by the way, is Robert Louis Stevenson. He has come down from Edinburgh to work in the warm, congenial atmosphere of Fontainebleau. Here to the same inn has come Fanny Van de Grift Osborne of San Francisco to do some landscape painting and seek rest and solace.
But the important thing is to keep in mind what the public wants to read.
In that instant, it happened. To his cousin who was with him, the young Scot announces,
"Bob, there's a woman I'm going to marry." Mine eyes were swift to know thee, and my heart is swift to love.
What's that from?
A poem.
Written at Chevellion Inn in the wee hours this morning.
Oh. You'd do better to get some sleep. Your cousin Bob tells me you've been ill.
Oh, it's just the beastly climate at Edinburgh. I'll be all right again, now that I'm down here in the sunshine.
If you love sunshine, you should visit California. It's pure gold there.
The sun or the land?
Both. Everything.
Yes, I can see it in your eyes.
My eyes are black.
Flecks of gold in them. Your hair has glints of gold in it, too. I noticed it last night in the lamplight.
Hey, look! Look what I caught!
Oh, darling, be careful with that pole.
I'm sorry.
This gentleman whose eye you nearly put out is Mr. Stevenson.
How do you do, sir?
Well, happy to meet you, Mr. Pettyfish.
Pettyfish, my name's Lloyd Osborne.
Osborne? I didn't realize you had a son.
Well, I have a daughter, too.
Mother, can I eat this for my lunch?
Well, if Madame Chevelion's willing to fix it.
It'll save us money.
All right.
Spoken like a true Scot.
He used the same argument when he wanted to go barefoot.
I expect it isn't easy on a young widow to support two children.
I'm not a widow,
You mean your husband is living?
for all I know.
You don't sound sure.
Captain Osborne disappeared once before and was reported dead. Months later, he came back.
So that's the way it is.
That's the way it is. Now you understand why there's no use in your writing any more poems to me. The light's changed. I better put up my work.
I'll help you. Fanny.
Oh, please. Please give it to me.
Why?
I'd like to finish it.
That's all I wanted to know.
Why does it have to rain?
Because it's the end of September,
I want to go fishing.
I'll give the fish a little rest. They deserve it.
Why couldn't it rain somewhere else?
It is. It's raining lots of places. The rain is raining all around. It falls on field and tree. It rains on the umbrellas here and on the ships at sea, eh?
Lloyd simply worships Lewis.
Aye. Lewis is a grand gift for getting into children's hearts. Perhaps because he was such a lonely lad himself.
He was an only child.
Aye. And sick most of the time. Weak chest. I often think of him in that big dark house in Edinburgh, ruled over by his Scotch father, who was a very strict man. But, as they say, it's an ill wind. If it hadn't been for his frail health, Lewis would have had to follow the family tradition and become an engineer.
Riding takes stamina, too. Especially on the uphill road.
Would you excuse me just a moment, and I'll just see if the mail has come in.
Of course.
What do you think Louie's mother used to call him?
I don't know. What?
Smout.
Smout?
Means small fry.
Oh.
It's a letter from America. For you.
Mother, what's the matter?
We're going home, Lloyd. Back to California.
Why?
Your father has expressed a wish to see us. Captain Osborne is quite alive.
Fanny, I've got to speak.
I'm a married woman, Lewis.
Married to a no-good philanderer, you've admitted it. A man is always leaving you for other women.
Hush. I took Sam Osborne as my husband, for better or for worse. I've got to try and make a life with him.
This isn't the end. The first time I saw you, I said you were the woman I was going to marry. I haven't changed my mind.
Goodbye, Lois.
The whole happy family. This is great. Fanny, I can't tell you how I've looked forward to this.
It's a charming house, Sam.
Thank you. Well, I'm afraid I'll have to be off.
Oh.
I have an engagement.
Sam, the children and I have come 10,000 miles to be with you.
And I'm sure you can all do with some rest. Tomorrow we'll take a tour of the town. Maybe rent a boat. Go out on the bay. Till then, buenas noches.
Sam, the children are dreadfully disappointed. Couldn't you have kept this first evening for them, if not for me?
Frankly, I didn't expect you to arrive here so soon.
I started packing the minute I received your letter.
By golly, Fanny, you're prettier than ever. My little tiger lily. I'm sorry I'm late, honey. There were complications.
The next time you would come later, and then not come at all. I know what these wives are like.
Look, Lola, even if my wife suspects, what can she do? She's dependent upon me for support. She'll put up with anything.
So, you like your cake, I need it too. Oh, you bad, bad captain.
Look, Fanny, I'm your own sister. You don't have to pretend with me. Sam's been acting up again.
Yes.
Who is she this time?
I don't know. It doesn't matter. If it weren't this woman, it would be another.
No wonder he's always out of funds. Oh, I've noticed things since I've been here. Your clothes, the table you set. You've been living on a shoestring.
Oh, Nellie, what am I going to do?
Times like this, I'm glad I'm not married. tried my best, but it's no use. I don't know where to turn.
She's ill and lonely and miserable, and I'm going to her.
Louis, it's the height of folly.
I love her, Bob.
Of course you do. But face the facts, man. Fanny's nae free. And even if she were, how could you support a wife and 2 children?
With my writing?
Oh, Louis. Louis, you can. I'm not trying to rub it in. But you've never even supported yourself. Your father gives you an allowance.
I know.
And he'd cut you off without a penny if you persist in this. You know his views. He'd never forgive you.
I've got to stand on my own feet.
You'd renounce your family?
I'm doing what I feel is right. Fanny needs me. I'm going to her.
Dinna come to me to lend you the price of the passage.
I still have a little money saved from my 2 books. I'll travel steerage and get enough material for another book. The Amateur Immigrant. Well, how's that for a title, huh?
You want to wreck what little health you have. Oh, Louis, where will this all end?
I don't know. Failure, maybe. But I can tell you this. No man's of any use until he's dared everything. So now I might become a man.
Oh, Louis, Louis.
Fanny.
I thought I was seeing your ghost. And no wonder. You're so terribly thin.
I've been subsisting largely on hopes and fears. But what of yourself? How are you?
Oh, I'm much better than when I wrote, Louis. You know, a lot of the trouble was the strain of indecision. Not being able to make up my mind.
And have you?
Yes. I filed suit for divorce, Louis.
My angel.
There aren't many who will call me that. My family is shocked. But it's the only honest thing to do. My marriage was a mockery and worse.
How long will it take?
The divorce?
Mm-hmm.
Quite a while. These things move slowly.
That will give me time to get on my feet, earn some money. I'll go to San Francisco and get a job on a newspaper.
You look as though you needed rest more than anything.
Madam, you're talking to a man who's about to become the head of a family.
Robert Louis Stevenson. Never heard of you.
I've had some things published in London.
Well, maybe they'll go for this literary stuff. What we want is news, names, places, dates. Sorry.
I hate to press you, Mr. Stevenson.
Couldn't you give me just a little more grace, please?
Room rent is supposed to be paid in advance. You're 2 weeks behind.
You'll get your money. I promise you on my word as a gentleman.
All right.
Thank you, Mrs. Carson.
Well, it's gone through at last. Here's the court decree. It won't burn you, dear.
This is the first divorce ever in our family.
And the last, I hope. It's a dreadful thing to go through, Nellie.
Well, now what?
I'll wait a decent interval, of course. Sam has been very generous. He agreed to support me until I remarry.
I wouldn't count on it, Fanny. Sam's out of work. He lost his job last week.
Oh. Louis mustn't know. He has enough other worries.
How's he getting along?
Writing day and night. I don't know when he ever eats and sleeps.
He's certainly determined to prove himself.
And he will, Nellie, if he can just hold out. Lloyd, will you see who's at the door, please? Louis sent his manuscript of The Amateur Immigrant to his publishers in London. We're waiting now to hear.
Telegram from San Francisco.
Oh, they've accepted it. Oh, Louis, I knew it.
The boy wanted to know if there was any answer.
Mrs. Carson's landlady. Louis is dying.
Hemorrhage. Unconscious.
It's galloping consumption, complicated by malaria.
And starvation. He spent only a few cents a day for food for the last 2 months.
I'll stay and nurse him. What is it? What is it, Louis?
Not yet. My soul not yet a while depart.
You're going to live, beloved. I'm going to make you live. Now, you eat every bit of that. It'll be good for you. Well, Doctor, it's been a tough battle. 6 long weeks. But he's won.
You're very much in love with Mr. Stevenson, aren't you?
Yes.
Then I think you should know. There's no cure for what he has. I give him only about, well, just a few months at most.
Thank you for telling me, Doctor.
I, Robert Louis, take thee, Fanny, to be my wedded wife, to have and to hold from this day forward.
For richer, for poorer, in sickness and in health, to love and to cherish, till death us do part.
See that sign, fella? It says Silverado. That's where we're going to spend our honeymoon. It's an old deserted mining camp way high up in the mountains, so it won't cost us anything.
I only hope it won't be too rough for you, darling.
Be heaven. Sit in the blessed sun, breathe the air, look at the sky. You know, Fanny, I was so sure last winter that I was going to die. I even wrote my own epitaph. Home is the sailor, home from the sea, and the hunter home from the hill. They won't carve those words for me for a long time yet.
Get up. You're supposed to be resting. Here, I'll take these.
I brought the mail. It's mostly bills.
I'll take those.
The cable for you, Louis, from Scotland.
Cable? It's after my father.
What is it, Lou?
He's forgiven me. He's sending money. Wants me to bring my wife home.
Oh, Lou.
And my son. 15 men on a dead man's chest. Yo-ho-ho, and a bottle of rum. I remember him as if it were yesterday. The brown old seaman with the saber cut across his cheek. As he came plodding up to the door of the Admiral Benbow Inn, breaking out into that old sea song. Drink and the devil had done for the rest. Yo-ho-ho, and a bottle of rum.
That's an adventure story he's making up for Lloyd. It's called Treasure Island.
I can scarcely believe my eyes. I came up here wondering if I'd find your husband alive. How did you perform this miracle, Mrs. Stevenson?
You've heard of amulets, Doctor?
Of course. Charms to ward off evil.
Lewis once wrote that to love is the great amulet. I believe that's true.
It's finished.
The whole thing?
The whole thing.
Oh, Lewis. What's the name of it, Lully?
Well, Lloyd, we'll call it Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Well, even if it's rejected, it only took me 3 days to write it.
Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, published in 1886, sold for a shilling. It was an immediate sensation. Edition followed edition. The book swept England, America, Europe, became the subject of leading articles and long review.
Lewis, you're the most talked of writer in the world today.
I wonder what the world would say if they knew I'd burned the whole first draft of the book in this very grate because you said it was no good.
No, darling. I said not good enough. I knew you could write a masterpiece, and you did.
With you beside me, Fanny, please, God, I'll write more.
The works of Robert Louis Stevenson, produced in an all too short lifetime. Treasure Island, Kidnapped, The Black Arrow, Master of Ballantrae, A Child's Garden of Verses, one of my favorites. Here's one. The world is so full of a number of things, I'm sure we should all be as happy as kings. Certainly no writer ever contributed more to the happiness of the reading world.